Prepare to be captivated by the business story of the week, hosted by me, Shaheen Shan. Join us on a journey through the twists and turns of entrepreneurial triumphs and setbacks. Immerse yourself in the narrative and witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. This is Business Story of the Week. And we are on. Welcome to another episode of Business Story of the Week. Today we have a special guest for you. Aaron has a message that impacts millions, and he's traveled the world sharing it with organizations and teams. Aaron is a worldwide speaker. He likes to create strategies that create true change and impact that allow people to rethink their past beliefs. And we're going to get into that. He has been working in the speaking workshop, consulting area. And another thing that's interesting with Aaron is that he is also, as we've had 3 guests already that are visually impaired. Aaron, welcome to the show. Very nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to chat.
So tell us a little bit about your business story of the week.
Yeah, so to dive in, my short kind of background and business now is, so like you said, I'm legally blind. For me, what that means is I have no vision at all in my right eye, very limited in my left. I see out of a tiny hole. Played football at Tulane University, became the first legally blind Division I athlete to play in a game, was named a team captain, went on to become an NFL free agent, and now I'm an entrepreneur and a speaker. And so I run 2 businesses now. The first one is my speaking and consulting with companies, conferences, sports teams around the world, whether that be for a keynote, a workshop, or longer term consulting work that I do with companies. I also run a company called Initiate Connections, where we essentially help other speakers grow and scale their business the same way that I've been able to do it in mine. And it's basically a full scale consulting company. So those are kind of the 2 things I run now.
Holy smoke. Okay, so this is interesting because I think what I heard you say is that you started playing football as somebody who's legally blind. Is that right?
Correct.
Wow. So were you born blind, or is it something that happened to you along the way in your life?
Yeah, so I was born, so known nothing different.
Wow. And for the people listening and watching, so the guy we had on before, Chad Foster, really interesting guy. He lived until 21 with perfect eyesight. And then at 21, he realized he had some genetic disease, and poof, the guy went blind. Pretty much, he said, over the course of a few days. And that was it. What's it like, in brief? I know it's very complex, but what's it like being a blind person in the world of business, and what's it like never having have truly seen before?
Yeah, I mean, in the world in general, I mean, let's put it this way. I have a little bit of sight, not a ton, obviously. There's certain things that are, I can't do, like driving a car, or things that are challenging for me, like, crossing the street or cooking a meal, like those types of little things. But like, I'm a believer that like it doesn't affect the big things. Like growing a business is about how smart, how effective, how good you are at the world of business. It affects more of like day-to-day things a lot more than it affects, how I run and scale businesses, how I was able to play sports, that type of stuff. It affects more of like, if I go out now and cross the street, finding a way to get across, or I go to the airport, finding my plane, like those are the things it affects more of, is my opinion.
Fascinating. Okay. So in your coaching where you talk to companies, Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies who bring you on, what are the key tips and the strategic tips that you give company CEOs, entrepreneurs, as far as how to succeed?
Yeah, so that's not really the type of stuff that we, work on, to be transparent. And so, the areas of focus fall into, a few things. When I'm working with, for example, companies, it falls into, either that overcoming adversity and resilience side of things, and that's really more just in a speaking engagement or a workshop, and teaching people, to focus on things like gratitude, to focus on, the things that they can control, that type of stuff. Now, when it comes to companies as well, there's a lot of other areas, whether it be the leadership development side of things and working with teams to, build better leaders to, step into that role, as well as oftentimes companies bring, me and my team in to work on, what we call working with people with different disabilities. And so, we have a lot of companies that bring us in to, help them create a structure, create a plan for how they can allow individuals with different disabilities to succeed, how they can optimize things like their, hiring process, how they can adjust different things so those individuals can accomplish the same goals and allow for a greater understanding of, putting people in the right place and allowing those individuals to succeed.
Wow. So if you get somebody who has a disability and tells you, Aaron, you know what? I'm in this big company. I just don't know if I'm going to make it. Everybody here is like, seems sharper than me. They seem brighter than me. And I just don't know how to overcome this level of adversity that I have in this corporate structure. How do you coach them? What do you do to get them back up?
Yeah, so there's two things we tell to a company, and like it's two sided. Yes, the company needs to allow for this realm of belonging, this realm of allowing people to succeed and helping individuals with disabilities, creating the right accommodations and working with them. At the same time, it's just as important, if not more important, for the individual to take responsibility for their own actions. If an organization, and a lot of people are going to hear this and disagree with what I'm about to say, and that's okay. If an organization has everything in place and is giving you the accommodations you need, helping push you to succeed and you're not succeeding, it is your fault. It's not the company's fault. That is 100% on you. I don't care what disability you have. Like, it comes down to the point where the company needs to put that stuff in place, and we help companies with that. At the same time, you, as someone, whether you have a disability or not, you need to take responsibility for your own actions. And if the company is doing that, but you aren't telling them you need accommodations, if you aren't saying, hey, I'm struggling in this area, can you help me here? Or, hey, working with them to figure out the best path, it ultimately comes back to you and putting you in the right place to speak up and ask for the help that you need.
Tell me about strategic thinking. How do you encourage people to think strategically, and what are the key elements of that?
Yeah, I mean, in that side of things, it's about, what can you do and what can't you do? If I was in a role where I had to, look at Excel spreadsheets all day, that, probably wouldn't be the best fit. And it might be working with, the managers, the teams to understand, how can we create a creative solution? And that could be as simple as, you know, uh, delegating certain work to other people and then taking on certain pieces of other people's work. And so in the corporate structure, when it comes to that, it's figuring out unique solutions in that realm. Now, on my other business, when we work with speakers, for example, and help them grow and scale, it's about, where are you at? How can we strategically create a plan for you? Everyone's different. There are certain principles that we can build out and put in place to allow you to succeed, but it's figuring out what you've done, where you want to go, and creating a customized roadmap to allow you to get there.
That's interesting. So, for you personally, do you believe that the majority of the people you work with have untapped potential and there's something that they could do to realize that untapped potential? And if so, what are the key elements to that? What are the key things that most of the people you coach and train can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to two areas. The first side is, understanding that gratitude piece. And I say it all the time. I'm so thankful and grateful I was born legally blind. If I could go back to birth and change it, I wouldn't do so. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I think that if you can find a little bit of gratitude in the challenges and adversities you face, it allows you to be more successful. It's helped to create the businesses I have, the turn me into the athlete I became, create the relationships I have. And so because of that, I'm thankful. And I think that you need to sometimes take a step back and find gratitude in the challenges you face, no matter how hard it is. On the other side of things, it's also about how can we tactically get things done. So often, specifically with like the speakers side of thing, not the companies, but speakers that we work with. Most speakers from that I've worked with, a lot of them, I mean, some of them are, but a lot of them are not true business owners, and they struggle to understand what they need to do on a day-to-day basis. And it comes down to the fact that you are not just a speaker. Things are not just going to fall in your lap. You're not going to get to just speak 100 times a year because, a million people reach out to you. You need to run it as a business, and helping them understand that and turn their, for a lot of people, hobby into a, actual profitable business.
I love that. I love that. Well, that's amazing. As we're approaching the end of our time, how can people get a hold of you and hire you to coach them, to come to your workshops? What's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, you can reach out, Aaron at aarongolub.com, just on social media, Aaron J. Golub, and, happy to chat.
Okay, that's amazing. We'll include that in the show notes. Guys, go to his website, aarongolub.com, and we'll definitely include that. Aaron, thanks so much for being on the show, and we'll look forward to having you on again.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.